You ever feel like your life is some kind of twisted sitcom where you're the joke and no one told you the punchline? Yeah, that's been my whole existence growing up in my house. I'm 24 now, and since I was a kid, I've always played second fiddle to my younger brother Tristan. He's 21, and if you met him, you'd think he was some sort of prince, the way my parents treat him. Golden Child doesn't even begin to cover it. Meanwhile, I've been stuck with the short end of the stick so long, I should have trademarked it. Let me paint you a picture. Since I turned 18, my parents started charging me $400 a month to live at home. Not in some fancy basement suite. No, in my childhood bedroom. Same carpet from when I was 12. Same scratched up desk. Same poster peeling off the wall. And while I've been handing over rent every single month like clockwork, Tristan, that kid has never paid a single dime. Zero. Nada. He eats the food I help pay for, uses electricity I chip in for, and walks around like he owns the place. No chores, no bills, just vibes. One time I brought this up, like, hey, why does he get to live here for free while I'm basically funding your grocery runs? And you know what they hit me with? The classic, our house, our rules. That's parent code for, we have no real answer, so just shut up and deal with it. And it didn't stop there. High school was a masterclass in double standards. I had to maintain a 3.8 GPA, minimum work part-time at a local hardware store on the weekends, and I wasn't allowed to go out unless it was for school purposes. Tristan. This dude was barely scraping by with a 2.0 GPA, never held a job, and partied every weekend. And somehow that was okay. According to my parents, he needed to enjoy his youth. They actually said that with a straight face. Every little thing he did got a full standing ovation, while I'd get a pat on the back, maybe if they remembered. I busted my butt working full-time in a soul-crushing corporate job for years just to save up enough money to escape the madness. My dream was simple: get out, get my own place, maybe even live somewhere with walls that weren't covered in glow-in-the-dark stars. I'd be getting close, like within reach of a down payment and first month's rent, and suddenly, bam, family emergency. A pipe burst. Someone needed car repairs. Someone needed help with tuition. Guess who? Guess who always had to help out yours truly? Even after I graduated college, a full course load, part-time job, honors degree, my parents couldn't be bothered to throw a dinner, let alone a celebration. You know what I got? A text from my mom that said, "Congrats with a $50 Applebee's gift card taped to the fridge." I wish I was kidding. Meanwhile, Tristan recently, just last month, finally graduated college. Took him 6 years, 3 major changes, and who knows how many retakes. He pulled a 2.4 GPA, which I guess is better than flunking out, but barely. And what do my parents do to honor his achievement? They buy him a Tesla. And not just any Tesla. A Model 3 Performance. We're talking 60 grand plus, premium everything, fully loaded. I still remember the day they gave it to him, whole family standing in the driveway. My dad gives him this little box and inside keys. Tristan flips out like he just won The Price is Right. My mom snapping pictures like she's working for TMZ. And my dad, I swear on my life, turns to me and says, "Don't be jealous. Your brother deserves this after working so hard." Working hard at what I said, beer pong tournaments. Of course that didn't land well. My mom gave me that look, you know, the kind that could turn milk sour, and said college was easier for you. Tristan really struggled. Yeah, he struggled to get out of bed before noon, struggled to remember his girlfriend's name each week. But sure, let's reward him for that. From the moment that Tesla showed up, it became Tristan's entire personality. He couldn't go 5 minutes without mentioning it. Every Instagram post, every story. It was my Tesla this, my Tesla that. The car wasn't just a ride, it was his brand. He'd pull into the driveway at 2:00 a.m. from whatever bar he was at and rev the engine. I get it, it's electric. There's no real engine to revvy. But he'd floor it up and down the driveway like he was starring in Fast and Furious Electric Drift. Woke up the whole neighborhood, but of course my parents never said a word. The dude drove like a maniac, speeding through residential streets, doing donuts in parking lots, filming TikToks, pretending to be asleep while the car was on autopilot. And here's the kicker, I watched him drive drunk. Repeatedly. I begged him to call an Uber, let me drive something. His response: "The car basically drives itself, bro." Yeah, it doesn't drive your blood alcohol level. He and his equally brilliant friends, all equally hammered, would pile into the Tesla and go on joyrides. They actually called them that, joyrides. I warned them. I warned my parents. And you know what my mom said? "You're just jealous. You don't have friends who want to have fun with you." Right. Super jealous I don't have a death wish and a TikTok channel full of probable felonies. Every day the videos got wilder, the driving more reckless. It wasn't a matter of if something would happen, it was when. And then it happened. It was a Thursday night. I was in my room finishing up some work when I heard the front door slam, then whispers, then my dad's car peeling out of the driveway like he was chasing someone. I came downstairs and found my mom, pale as a ghost, muttering something about Tristan had a little accident. Let me translate little accident in my family full-blown catastrophe they're already trying to cover up. Around 4:30 a.m., I heard the car pull in, peeked out the window, and saw my dad basically dragging Tristan up the walkway. He looked like he'd been in a bar fight, one shoe missing blood on his forehead, stumbling like a toddler. My dad was shushing him the whole way, trying to keep it quiet. Apparently, Golden Boy had wrapped the Tesla around a tree after leaving a bar. Shocking, I know. By some miracle, he wasn't seriously hurt. Just a cut on the forehead. The Tesla, though, totaled. Front end smashed in. Airbags deployed. Windshield cracked. That shiny $60,000 machine now looked like a crushed soda can. They helped him to bed like he was a sleepy little boy instead of a grown man who just committed a felony. And me, I went back to my room and stared at the ceiling, thinking, this is it. This is where they finally realize who he really is. Spoiler alert, I was wrong. The next morning, I was hoping for maybe a sliver of sanity, like some kind of long overdue wake-up call for my parents. Nope. Instead, we had a family meeting. Now let me tell you something in the history of family meetings. Not once has one ever been called to announce good news. Nobody gathers the household and says, guess what? We're all going to Disney World. No, a family meeting always means somebody's about to be blamed, exploited, or both. So I walk into the living room and there they are. My parents sitting side by side on the couch like a couple of middle managers preparing for a disciplinary review. Tristan slouched in the armchair, scrolling his phone like he's too busy to be here, even though the meeting is literally about him. He's got this big bruise blooming across his cheekbone that's gone from pink to an ugly yellow-purple, but it still looks better than the smirk he's barely hiding. Then it starts. My dad straightens his back, clears his throat, clasps his hands together. It's like watching a bad actor try to channel serious father energy on command. And here comes the line. Son, we've looked into the damage to Tristan's car. You'd think the Tesla caught a cold or something. The damage, like it wasn't from a drunk joyride ending in a high-speed collision with an oak tree. He continues, awkwardly. The insurance won't cover it because, because he was technically intoxicated. Technically, is that what we're calling it now? I cut him off. You mean because he drove drunk and crashed into a tree? My mom shot me that same death glare she always reserves for when I tell the truth. Don't be dramatic, she said. He only had a few drinks. Right. A few drinks that left him slurring, bleeding, and forgetting how to walk. Then comes the real kicker. My dad, bless his spineless heart, says we think it's only fair that we all chip in, as a family. At first I laughed, not out of joy, you know, that kind of laugh, where your brain is trying to protect itself from exploding. That. You want me to help pay for repairs to a car I don't own, I don't drive, and was totaled because Tristan drove drunk. I asked, needing to hear myself say it out loud, just in case I was hallucinating. My mom goes full guilt trip mode. We're a family, and you're the only one with significant savings right now. Ah, there it is. They weren't thinking of me as part of the family. I was just the emergency ATM, the safety net, the responsible one who could always be counted on to fix everything, especially things Tristan broke. I asked how much they were expecting me to chip in. And yes, I made the air quotes, because we all knew that meant pay the majority. My dad gives this awkward little nod. Your mother and I can put in about $3,000. Tristan has about $500 saved. Of course he does. Even after living rent-free, bill-free, consequence-free, the kids only got enough saved to buy half a tire. So yeah, they wanted me to cover the other $14,500. And they even had a payment plan in mind, $1,000 a month. Because why should I use my savings to escape this dysfunctional sitcom when I could invest it into fixing a Tesla I never got to touch? Tristan, bless him, finally looks up from his phone and with zero shame says, it's not like you need a fancy apartment anyway. You're always working. I swear I felt something snap. I wasn't even mad anymore. I was just done. I laughed again, a hollow kind of laugh. Then I looked each of them in the eye and said, I'm not giving you a single cent. You'd think I just announced I was moving to Mars. The shock on their faces was unreal. Tristan crashed the car because he was driving drunk, I continued. He's lucky he's not in jail or dead. And now you want me to fund his stupidity? Nah, not happening. My mom's voice started trembling. She's a master at this part, by the way. And she said, after everything we've done for you. Oh boy, here we go. I cut her off. What exactly have you done for me? Made me pay rent while he lives free. Given him a brand new Tesla while I get a pat on the back for graduating with honors. Treated my achievements like they were chores while throwing parties for his mediocrity. Now my dad's face turned that shade of red that usually only shows up when his authority gets questioned. You will contribute to fixing your brother's car, he snapped. End of discussion. I stood up. No, I won't, I said, and that's the end of mine. The room went dead quiet. Even Tristan looked up like, wait, this isn't how it usually goes. They were so used to me, rolling over, keeping the peace, being the responsible one. They didn't know what to do when I didn't play the part. You're being selfish, my mom finally muttered, like it was some kind of spell to bring me back into line. I shook my head. No, I'm being realistic. Tristan chose to drink. Tristan chose to drive. Tristan crashed. For once in his life, he can deal with the consequences. I walked out of the room, went back upstairs, and closed the door behind me. As I sat down on my bed, I could hear Tristan in the hallway ask, so, does this mean I'm not getting the car fixed? Classic, always on brand. But I knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. Because in my family, a simple no never means no. It means we'll find another way to manipulate you. And boy, did they. For the next few days, you could cut the tension in that house with a spoon. My parents didn't speak to me unless it was to gently ask if I'd reconsider their very reasonable offer to hand over the rest of my savings. My answers stayed short. No. Still no. Try again later. No. This led to a lot of dramatic sighs, slammed cabinets, and my mom walking around muttering things like, some people just don't understand family loyalty, while I was literally in the same room, 3 feet away, chewing cereal. Real, subtle mom. They also started having these suspicious little kitchen table huddles. I'd walk in and find them whispering over a mess of papers, and every time without fail, they'd go quiet the second I entered the room. It was so painfully obvious. Like if you're going to scheme behind someone's back, at least try harder. Then came Friday night. I came home from work and saw my dad pacing on the phone in the living room. He was using his professional voice, the one he pulls out for dealing with banks' insurance agents or trying to return a TV without a receipt. Words like comprehensive coverage and vandalism, claim, floated through the air before he spotted me and quickly ducked into his office, closing the door. Wait, vandalism? As in, someone damaged the Tesla again. Drunk driving into a tree isn't vandalism, last I checked, unless that tree had a grudge. But hey, insurance companies have entire teams whose whole job is to deny claims. I figured they were just throwing Hail Marys, trying to get some money back. But then Saturday morning happened. And man, it went from sitcom to crime drama real quick. Around 7:00 a.m., I was yanked out of sleep by this loud metallic banging, like someone was taking a bat to a trash can. I stumbled to my window, which overlooked the driveway, but everything looked fine, quiet. Nothing seemed out of place. I chalked it up to garbage day chaos and went back to sleep. Big mistake. An hour later, I was woken up again, this time by full-on yelling from the garage. I threw on a hoodie and jogged downstairs to find a scene straight out of a bad Netflix thriller. The garage door was wide open. Tristan stood there, red-faced, fists clenched with my parents, flanking him like a backup choir of denial. They were all staring at the Tesla, or what was left of it. And when I say wrecked, I don't mean slightly more banged up. I mean it looked like someone had gone full Hulk smash on that car. Windshield completely shattered, side windows broken, both side mirrors gone. There were huge, deliberate dents all over the doors and hood, like someone had tried to tenderize it before tossing it in a car salad. "What the hell happened?" I asked, eyes wide. Tristan spun around, pointing at me like he was in some courtroom drama. "Like you don't know, you did this." I actually laughed, like what I had been asleep. I hadn't touched that car since it showed up. That's when my dad held up a baseball bat. My old bat, the one from high school, I kept in the back of my closet as a nostalgic keepsake. "Then why was this found in the bushes outside?" he asked, voice doing that fake calm thing he uses when he's actually seething. I blinked. What, I haven't touched that bat in months. Mom crossed her arms and jumped in. "Don't lie to us." Lie about a baseball bat I hadn't seen since Obama was president. Then the bomb dropped. "We've already called the insurance company," my dad said smugly. "They're sending an investigator Monday. We told them someone vandalized the car out of jealousy." That's when it hit me. They were trying to frame me. Tristan, that little rat, had taken my bat further, destroyed his own car, and planted the bat outside to make it look like I did it. Why? Because insurance wouldn't cover drunk driving, but they might cover vandalism. And what's better than getting money? Getting revenge on Big Bro, who refused to foot the bill. And my parents, they were in on it. Or at the very least, they weren't going to stop it. "You're seriously going to frame me for this?" I asked, locking eyes with Tristan. He actually smirked. "Who do you think they'll believe? The golden child with a future, or the bitter brother who's always complaining?" My parents stood behind him like a wall of denial, like they hadn't just crossed from favoritism into full-blown felony territory. "This is ridiculous, and you know it," I said, surprisingly calm, despite how fast my heart was pounding. "I didn't touch the car. I was asleep the whole night." My mom scoffed. "We heard you leave your room around 2:00 a.m. The neighbor's security camera probably caught you." That was rich. We didn't even have any neighbors with a camera that faced our house. That was a bluff, a weak one. Which told me something big. They knew the truth. They knew Tristan did it. But instead of holding him accountable, they were trying to pin it on me. So let me get this straight, I said, taking a step back and crossing my arms. I either give you $14, $500 to fix a car I don't drive, or you frame me for vandalism so you can commit insurance fraud. My dad's face twitched. Nobody's framing anyone. We know you did this because you're angry about the money. I turned and walked away. No point in debating people who'd already chosen their own reality. Back in my room, I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the wall, heart racing. This wasn't just toxic family nonsense anymore. This was real. This was criminal. So I grabbed my phone, called my boss, and told him I needed Monday off an emergency personal matter. No way was I leaving my name and my future in the hands of 3 people trying to rewrite history, because now it wasn't just about a Tesla, or favoritism, or even my savings. It was about me realizing, maybe for the first time, just how far they were willing to go to protect their golden child, and what they were willing to destroy along the way. Monday came faster than I wanted it to. I barely slept Sunday night, and when I did, my dreams were full of glass shattering and accusations echoing like a courtroom drama gone wrong. But I was ready. I had my notes, I had my timeline, and more importantly, I had the truth. At 9:00 a.m. sharp, the doorbell rang. Enter Mac, the insurance investigator. He was around 40, wearing a slightly wrinkled button-down, tucked into khakis, carrying a tablet and a digital camera, the kind of guy who probably plays Sudoku in his free time and always finds the cheapest gas station. Dead serious, no nonsense. My dad tried to shoo me off before Mac even stepped inside. "You've got work. We'll handle this," he said, voice low tense. I just stared at him, didn't move, didn't blink. Finally, he gave in. "Fine, but don't interrupt." "Sure, Dad." Mac went straight to the garage, spent a solid 30 minutes taking pictures of every angle of the Tesla, what was left of it anyway. He examined the front-end damage, then moved to the broken windows, the smashed mirrors, the baseball bat dents. He even measured the depth of one of the larger ones, like he was planning a forensic sculpture. I noticed he spent a long time on the front of the car, the original crash damage. He kept tilting his head, taking a few extra photos, making quiet notes on his tablet. That gave me hope. Maybe he wasn't as easy to fool as my parents thought. After the inspection, he set up shop at our kitchen table with his laptop and some printed forms. That's when the interview started. My parents went first together, of course, probably to keep their story straight. They were in there for about half an hour with muffled voices occasionally floating through the walls. My mom sounded emotional. My dad was in full concerned homeowner mode. I could almost hear him saying things like, "We just want what's fair." Then it was Tristan's turn. He strutted in like he was on trial for a parking ticket, not fraud. He was in and out in 15 minutes. I heard him raise his voice once, probably for effect. Classic. Finally, it was me. I sat across from Mac, hands on the table, trying to keep calm. He didn't waste time. "Can you tell me where you were between 10:00 p.m. Friday night and 7:00 a.m. Saturday morning?" I nodded. "I got home from work around 6, made a sandwich, played Xbox with some friends online, then went to bed around 11. I didn't leave my room until I heard shouting in the garage around 8 the next morning." He took notes. "Anyone who can verify that. I was on Xbox Live with friends until about 11 p.m. They can confirm that. Also, I ordered a pizza around 9:30. Delivery guy could probably confirm I was home too." He kept writing. "Do you own a baseball bat matching this one?" he asked, sliding a photo across the table. It was mine. I didn't deny it. "Yeah, I had that in my closet. Haven't touched it in months." He nodded, tapping on his tablet. Then came the curveball. "Did you know The Tesla was already severely damaged before this alleged vandalism occurred. I blinked. He already knew. Yeah, I said. Tristan drove drunk last week and crashed it into a tree. My dad picked him up before the cops could get there. The front end damage is from that crash. The rest is all, well, not from me. Now I had his attention. I explained everything. The celebration for Tristan's 2.4 GPA, the Tesla gift, the reckless driving, the TikToks, the drunk nights. Then I told him about the crash, the aftermath, and how they had tried to get me to pay $14,500 to fix it. And when I said no, I added suddenly the car gets trashed worse than before, and they find my bat in the bushes. Come on. He didn't react. Not a smile, not a nod, just more notes. Anything else I should know, he asked. I paused, then said, yeah. My parents claimed the neighbor's security camera caught me outside at 2:00 a.m. It didn't. That was a bluff. None of our neighbors have cameras pointed at our garage or driveway. They were just trying to make me panic. That earned me a raised eyebrow, the first real expression I'd seen from him all morning. Mac thanked me and said he'd be in touch. The second he left the house, went full DEFCON 1. My mom came flying into my room, crying like I'd just betrayed our entire bloodline. My dad was right behind her, furious, shouting something about family reputation and how I needed to call the investigator back immediately. Tristan, just smirking from the couch like he was watching his favorite drama unfold. You told him everything, my dad roared. Yes, I replied calm. I told the truth, something this family clearly has a problem with. They lost it. My mom tried the "you're ruining your brother's life" angle. My dad went with "you better fix this if you know what's good for you." Tristan surprisingly stayed quiet. Maybe he was finally realizing this wasn't going his way for once. I walked upstairs and locked my door. Didn't come out the rest of the night. The next 2 days, pure avoidance mode. I went to work, came home, locked my door. I ordered delivery and only came out when they were asleep. It was like living with a cult that had suddenly lost their messiah. Then came Wednesday. I got a text from an unknown number. This is Mac from State Farm Insurance. Can you meet me on Main Street at 4:00 p.m. today? I have some follow-up questions. No way I was passing that up. I replied, yes, grabbed my jacket and left without saying a word to my parents. Mac was already at the Starbucks when I got there. He was in a corner booth with his laptop and a stack of papers. When I sat down, he leaned in. I wanted to talk away from your family, he said. We've uncovered some inconsistencies. He opened his tablet, clicked a few times, and turned the screen toward me. It was video footage, clear as day, time-stamped 2:13 a.m., Saturday morning. Tristan, taking the bat from the trunk of my car, walking into the garage, and absolutely obliterating what was left of his Tesla. He didn't even rush. The footage showed him calmly breaking every window, smashing mirrors, denting panels, and then stashing the bat in the bushes like he was on some high-stakes mission. The whole thing looked like something out of a bad heist movie, only worse because he wasn't smart enough to check for cameras 2 doors down. Mac leaned back, arms crossed. I've been doing this job for 15 years, he said, and this is one of the dumbest frame jobs I've ever seen. I stared at the footage for a solid 30 seconds, blinking like I needed to reboot. There was Tristan, clear as day, strolling around our garage in the middle of the night with my bat like he was prepping for the home run derby. He wasn't panicked. He wasn't rushed. The dude was methodical, smash the windshield, crack the mirrors, bash in the doors, then casually toss the bat into the bushes like it was the final scene of some low-budget crime show. I looked up at Mac. Where did you get this? He smiled. 2 houses down from yours. New security system. Wide-angle camera pointed toward the street. They installed it last month. Your brother didn't notice. Of course he didn't. Mac slid the tablet back toward himself. We've already denied the claim. The evidence was overwhelming. The car was already damaged in a DUI crash, which, by the way, wasn't reported to us until after this supposed vandalism. And now we have clear proof your brother staged the damage to commit insurance fraud and tried to pin it on you. He took a sip of coffee, then added, "The fraud department's been notified. So has the local police. They want to talk to both of you." I exhaled slowly, half in relief, half in dread. What does that mean exactly? It means, he said calmly, Tristan will be facing charges, possibly multiple, fraud, filing a false report, and depending on how involved your parents were in this little scheme, they may be in trouble too. I thought you should know before the police knock on your door. I nodded. Thank you for believing me. He tilted his head. You didn't seem like the type to smash a Tesla out of spite. And let's be honest, your brother didn't exactly give off criminal mastermind energy. Then he looked at his watch. Officer Arriver is meeting us here in 10 minutes. She wants to take your official statement before speaking with your family. I blinked. Wait, now he nodded. Better to get ahead of it. A few minutes later, Officer Rivera walked in, mid-30s, calm presence, serious, but not intimidating. She introduced herself, shook my hand, and sat down across from me with a notepad. She asked me to walk her through everything from the top. So I did. From the moment Tristan got the Tesla to the reckless driving, the drunk nights, the crash, the cover-up, the financial guilt trip, and finally the attempted frame job. I told her everything. She listened closely, occasionally asking for clarification. When I was done, she flipped through her notes and looked me straight in the eye. Do you want to press charges for false reporting and attempted fraud? She explained that the DA would handle the larger fraud investigation, the insurance side, the DUI cover-up, all that. But the personal stuff, the attempt to frame me, was my call. Now this is where some people might pause. After all, Tristan is my brother. We shared bunk beds as kids, had the same parents, lived under the same roof for over 2 decades. Most people would hesitate. I didn't. Yes, I said. Absolutely. No hesitation. She nodded. We'll contact you shortly with next steps. Be ready to give a formal statement at the station. And thank you for cooperating. By the time I got home, my stomach was in knots. I wasn't scared. I was just done. Done with the gaslighting. Done with the guilt trips. Done being the villain in a story I didn't even write. I pulled into the driveway around 5 p.m., expecting things to be calm. They weren't. There was already a police cruiser parked out front. Inside the house was absolute chaos. My mom was pacing and crying like she was auditioning for a soap opera. My dad was on the phone shouting things like misunderstanding and we can handle this internally. Tristan sat on the couch, pale, no phone in his hand, which was new and looking like someone had just yanked the floor out from under him. When my mom saw me, she rushed over mascara streaking down her face. What have you done? She cried. The police said Tristan could be charged with fraud. I haven't done anything, I replied calmly. Tristan did this to himself when he decided to frame me. My dad hung up the phone and stomped over. This is ridiculous. We're family. We can fix this ourselves. You need to call them back and tell them you don't want to press charges. No, I said simply. I'm done being the scapegoat. I'm not taking the fall for something I didn't do. Not again. Now came the real performance. My mom went full dramatic mode. You can't do this. We're your parents, after everything we've done for you. I looked her in the eye. Like charging me rent while he lives for free, giving him a Tesla while I get nothing, framing me for a crime because I wouldn't pay for his mistake. Yeah, real family values. My dad stepped in front of the door. If you walk out that door and follow through with this, you're no longer welcome in this house. I paused, looked him dead in the face. Then I guess I've been homeless for years. I just didn't know it. I walked around him, grabbed my bag, and headed out. He shouted something about ungrateful children as I stepped outside. I didn't turn around. That night, I gave my official statement at the police station. Officer Rivera walked me through the process. Tristan would likely be charged with filing a false report, attempted insurance fraud, and depending on what they uncovered, possibly even something from the original DUI crash. When I got out, I had a text waiting from my buddy Chris. Got your room ready, ordered food. Don't be late, bro. No questions, no judgment, just support. I showed up at his place around 8:30. He opened the door, handed me a soda, and helped me bring my stuff inside. And in that quiet, normal moment, no yelling, no manipulation, no blame, I realized something important. This was what real family felt like. Not control, not guilt, not endless competition, just support. It's wild how quiet life gets when you finally cut the noise. Staying at Chris's apartment was like taking a breath after holding it for years. No tension, no judgment, just two friends sharing space and pizza rolls. I slept better on that futon than I had in my bed at home in over a decade. My shoulders didn't feel like they were carrying a brick wall anymore. It was peace. A week passed, then two. During that time, Tristan's world began to unravel fast. The evidence was undeniable. The security footage, the insurance report, even the medical records from the night of the crash, which surprise showed he was very much drunk, blood alcohol level through the roof. My parents had tried to hide that detail, but it came out during the investigation. Everything unraveled like a sweater tugged by a loose thread. The DA didn't play around. Tristan was charged with filing a false police report, attempted insurance fraud, driving under the influence retroactively thanks to the hospital blood test, property damage, reckless endangerment. It didn't help that he had posted videos of himself driving like an idiot on social media, the TikToks, the selfies, the drunk joyrides with his friends chanting "Tesla baby" in the background. All of it painted a perfect picture of a guy with no regard for the law or human life for that matter. He ended up taking a plea deal, 6 months in county jail, 3 years of probation, a hefty fine, and his license suspended for 5 years. Poof, Tesla Bro's empire gone, and the car still totaled, still unpaid for, still sitting like a twisted monument to poor decisions and parental delusion. My parents, they weren't charged. The DA couldn't prove they were complicit in the fraud attempt, even though anyone with eyes and a brain could tell they were involved. But the fines, they got hit hard. The insurance company went after them for their role in the false claim. Legal fees, penalties. They ended up draining their emergency fund and then some. Last I heard, they were dipping into their retirement accounts just to stay afloat. And me? I finally got my own place. Nothing fancy, just a modest one-bedroom apartment with a working heater, a fridge that didn't hum like a dying whale, and most importantly, peace. No one slamming cabinets, no one guilt-tripping me, no one demanding I pay for their mess. Work got better too. Funny how much more focused you get when you're not dealing with family drama 24/7. My boss noticed. I landed a promotion, got a raise, started taking night classes toward an MBA. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was treading water. I was actually moving forward. Then, like clockwork, the messages started. First, it was my mom. "We're about to lose the house. After everything we've done for you, how can you abandon us now?" Classic guilt card. A little frayed from overuse, but she tried. Next came my dad. "You owe this family. Man up and help us out." Ah, yes. The good old masculine responsibility guilt bomb. And then Tristan. He had jail phone privileges, apparently. "Hey, I'm sorry, okay? Jail's changed me. I get it now. I need some commissary money. I've got nothing in here, man. Right. Jailhouse enlightenment followed immediately by a Venmo request. I ignored all of them. For weeks. Then one day, I came home to a knock at my apartment door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it cautiously, and there they were, my parents, standing on my doorstep. They looked rough. Not we've been crying for hours rough. More like we've been in financial and emotional hell for months rough. Their clothes were wrinkled. My mom's hair looked like it hadn't seen a brush in days. My dad looked older, smaller, like someone had deflated him. They had a pitch prepared. You could see it in their eyes. They'd come to sell me on a sob story. We're selling the house, my dad said. But we need money to make the transition. The accounts are frozen. Your mother's health. Her anxiety's been terrible, she interrupted, eyes watering on cue. We don't know where else to turn. I listened, quietly, no interruptions. They talked for 5 minutes straight about Tristan, about the shame, about the bills, about how hard things had been since I abandoned the family. Then when they finally stopped to breathe, I said, "Sorry, I must have missed it. Which part of trying to frame me for a felony entitles you to my financial support?" Silence. You could hear the air conditioner hum. My mom's face crumpled like she'd just been slapped. My dad speechless. And that man always has something to say. For the first time in our entire relationship, I was holding the cards. They weren't in control. They weren't in their house. They weren't dictating the terms. They were standing on my welcome mat, asking for my help with nothing to offer in return, but regret dressed up as desperation. I told them I'd think about it, then closed the door in their faces. I thought about it for exactly 5 seconds before sending a text. The answer is no. Don't contact me again. My dad replied with a long paragraph of threats, something about burning bridges and being dead to him. My mom sent crying emojis, and how could you text? Tristan sent a jailhouse apology, followed by another money request. I blocked all of them. Some people might think that's harsh. Maybe it is. But after 24 years of being the scapegoat, the second-class son, the walking ATM, the guy they blamed for everything and credited for nothing, I finally picked myself. And that's not harsh. That's survival. It's funny. You grow up thinking family means something unbreakable, that blood automatically equals love, loyalty, and support. But sometimes the people who share your DNA are the ones who cut you the deepest and smile while doing it. After I blocked them, everything got real quiet. No more guilt texts, no more calls from random cousins asking why I wasn't being supportive, just silence. And it was the most peaceful silence I'd ever experienced. Chris, the guy who let me crash with him when I walked out of that house, he didn't ask for explanations, never judged, just handed me a cold drink and a spare key. That's when I realized something important. Real family isn't who you're born to, it's who shows up when you have nothing left. Chris wasn't perfect. He leaves his socks everywhere, eats cereal with a fork, but he never once made me feel like I owed him something just for existing. And that after a lifetime of being expected to carry everyone else's weight was a blessing. I started building my new life from the ground up, rented a modest 1-bedroom, nothing fancy, but it was mine, the dishes in the sink. My mess, the stack of bills on the counter, mine to pay. The weird, flickering hallway light, mine to fix. Freedom comes in strange packages. Sometimes it looks like a wobbly IKEA table. Sometimes it sounds like silence after years of chaos. Meanwhile, back in chaos land, word got around about what happened. Tristan's name made local news, small article, nothing viral, but enough for people to whisper. Did you hear about the Tesla kid? The golden child became the cautionary tale. His friends dropped off fast. Turns out, when you're no longer the guy with the cool ride and unlimited beer, you stop being cool. One of my old neighbors, Mrs. Delaney, the one with 3 cats and a love for gossip, called me after reading the article. I always said something was off with that one, she whispered like it was classified. But I didn't think it was that off. She asked how I was doing. I told her the truth. I'm good, better than ever. And it wasn't a lie. Work had started to feel like a real career. I wasn't dragging emotional baggage into the office anymore. No more family emergencies stealing my paychecks. No more missed deadlines because I was cleaning up someone else's mess. The promotion I got, it wasn't just a new title. It was a symbol that I wasn't doomed to live in the shadow of someone else's bad decisions. My boss even pulled me aside and said, "You seem lighter these days." He wasn't wrong. I started hitting the gym again, started cooking instead of eating takeout every night, started sleeping better. I wasn't chasing happiness, I was building it. And then came the messages from people I hadn't heard from in years. Cousins, old friends, even one of Tristan's exes. They all had one thing in common. They were glad I stood up for myself. One message said, "I always thought it was messed up how your parents treated you. Glad you finally called it out." Another read, "You're not wrong. You just had enough." It was strange hearing validation from people I didn't even realize were paying attention. But the best message, it came from a girl I dated back in college. We lost touch when life got too messy, but she reached out after seeing the story. Her name's Emily. I saw the article she texted. "Can't believe what they tried to do to you. You always deserved better." We started talking again, just casual at first, catching up, then a coffee, then dinner. Turns out distance and time really do let you see people clearly. And for the first time in forever, I was seeing myself clearly too. Not as someone broken or bitter, but someone rebuilding. A couple weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. Not a bill, not junk, a real letter. Return address, the county jail. Yep, Tristan. He'd finally run out of jail phone time and decided to go old school. The letter was 4 pages long, sloppy handwriting, smudged ink, dramatic underlines. In it, he apologized, kind of. Said he didn't realize how bad things had gotten. That jail gave him time to think. That he was sorry for what he did, but also sorry that you never saw how much pressure I was under to be perfect. Perfect. That word punched me right in the face. This guy, this human wrecking ball, thought he was under pressure. He finished the letter by asking me to come visit. "I want to talk face to face," he wrote. "Maybe we can start fresh." I read the letter twice, folded it, put it in a drawer, didn't throw it away, didn't answer it either. Because here's the truth. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. That's a different kind of peace. It's not about revenge. It's not about watching them suffer or waiting for karma to do its thing. It's about letting go, about stepping out of the role they kept trying to shove me into, the scapegoat, the fixer, the silent one. I wasn't silent anymore. And that scared them, because people like my parents, like Tristan, they don't know what to do when you stop playing the role they cast you in. They don't know how to treat you when you finally become your own person. They only know how to keep you small, and when you grow, they panic. But me, I wasn't shrinking again. Not for them, not for anyone. It's weird the way people romanticize family. Like no matter how toxic, how manipulative, how broken it is, you're just supposed to keep showing up, no matter what, because they're your family. But the truth is, sometimes the most dangerous people in your life are the ones who know exactly how to weaponize love. Let me be clear, I didn't grow up hating my parents. I didn't start this story expecting it to end with me cutting them off. I just wanted to matter. I wanted fairness, respect, acknowledgement. All the stuff you're supposed to get by default when you're a decent person doing your best. Instead, I got guilt trips. I got backhanded compliments. I got used. And then, when I finally stopped being their emotional punching bag, they called it betrayal. See, when people like my parents say family, what they really mean is control. And when you don't play your role anymore, when you stop giving, stop sacrificing, stop saying yes, they see that as disloyalty. But loyalty without respect, that's just servitude. And I was done being a servant. Let me tell you how far that mindset went for them. After the charges, after the fines, after everything started crumbling, they started reaching out to extended family. They spun the whole story as if I was the one who broke the family apart. Like I'd overreacted, like I'd ruined Tristan's life because I wouldn't let one mistake go. My aunt called me the one who used to slip me $20 bills at Christmas and whisper, "Don't tell your mom." She sounded disappointed. "Honey, I just don't understand. He's your brother. Can't you forgive him?" So I asked her, if he framed you for a felony and tried to ruin your career, would you forgive him? She got real quiet after that. Because the second you strip away the family label and just call it what it is, fraud, manipulation, gaslighting, it doesn't sound so forgivable, does it? I didn't bother reaching out to the rest of the family. Most of them had already picked a side, and spoiler alert, it wasn't mine. That's the thing with golden children. They shine so bright in everyone's eyes that nobody notices the shadows they cast. I kept to myself, focused on work, night classes, quiet mornings with coffee and no drama. No more pacing outside the garage, wondering what kind of emotional ambush was coming next. It felt clean, uncomplicated. That's not to say it was easy. Some nights I stared at the ceiling, wondering if I went too far, wondering if maybe, just maybe, I could have handled things differently. But then I'd remember the look on Tristan's face when he smirked at me in that garage, the way my parents stood behind him, arms crossed, ready to let me take the fall. And suddenly I didn't feel guilty anymore. I felt free. A few weeks later, I got another letter. Not from Tristan this time, from my mom. It was short, just one page. No greeting, no dear son. Just, "I hope you're proud of what you've done. We've lost everything. You've destroyed our family." Then the kicker. "You were always so bitter. I guess now you're happy." No apology, no accountability, just blame. I didn't even bother writing back. Because people who refuse to see what they did wrong will always rewrite the story to make themselves the victim. That's what they do. And I wasn't interested in starring in that drama anymore. Instead, I put the letter in the same drawer as Tristan's. Not out of sentiment, not even out of anger, but as a reminder of how far I've come and why I'm never going back. Around that time, I had dinner with Emily again, the college ex who'd reached out after everything went public. She'd been through her own version of family chaos, different details, same energy. We talked about boundaries, about growing up, about how long it takes to realize your peace matters more than someone else's comfort. "You ever think about reconnecting?" she asked over dessert. With my parents, I raised an eyebrow. No. I think about healing. I think about moving forward. But going back, that's not on the table. She nodded. Good. We sat in silence for a bit. Comfortable silence. The kind you don't get when you're always bracing for a fight. That's when I knew something had shifted in me. I wasn't just running away from a toxic family anymore. I was building something new, something grounded, something real. That same week, Chris and I grabbed beers on a Friday night. Just the two of us. No drama. No emotional minefields. "You doing okay?" he asked, handing me a bottle. I shrugged, then smiled. "I'm doing better than okay." He raised an eyebrow. "So, what's next?" And for once, I didn't feel panic at that question. I felt excitement. Because when you finally stop living under someone else's shadow, the future doesn't look like an empty road. It looks like possibility. You know what they never tell you about cutting off toxic people? It's not always dramatic. There's no thunderclap, no courtroom showdown, no emotional finale where everyone cries and hugs and the credits roll. Sometimes it's just silence. And at first that silence feels weird. It's not the absence of noise, it's the absence of anticipation. You're not waiting for the next guilt trip, the next veiled insult, the next manipulation disguised as love. It's quiet, and it's peaceful. And then slowly, it starts to feel like freedom. I started spending more time with people who didn't make me feel like I owed them for existing. My circle wasn't huge, but it was real. Chris, Emily, a few coworkers who actually respected me, people who didn't try to control me, people who asked how I was and waited for the answer. Meanwhile, life moved forward. Tristan served his time, got out a few weeks early for good behavior, or maybe because the system was backed up, who knows. He got probation, had to attend counseling, lost his license, and got slapped with a criminal record that's going to follow him for years. Word got around. A few mutual acquaintances told me he'd been trying to spin the story, make it sound like he made one mistake, and the world just overreacted. Typical. Even out of jail, he was still trying to rewrite the narrative. And my parents, they sold the house, moved into some tiny apartment near downtown. My dad lost his job shortly after the insurance fraud came to light. My mom tried going back to part-time work, but her anxiety, the same anxiety she once used as a reason I should pay for a Tesla, I never drove, kept getting in the way. They reached out a few more times. Emails, handwritten notes, messages through extended family. All of them had the same tone, some mix of guilt, shame, and veiled anger. The kind of language you use when you're not really sorry, but you want to look like you are. They never said the words I needed to hear. Not once did they say, "We were wrong." Instead, they said things like, "We wish you'd handled this privately. You took it too far. We're still your parents. Don't you miss your family?" That last one hit differently. Because for a while I did miss them, or at least I missed what I thought we were supposed to be. I missed the idea of a mother who protected me, a father who guided me, a brother who had my back. The kind of family you see on cheesy commercials, laughing over burnt toast or hugging in the driveway. But that was just it, an idea. The reality was cold breakfasts, favoritism, being told I wasn't enough, and being expected to sacrifice everything for someone who gave nothing back. You can grieve something and still be better without it. So no, I didn't miss them. I missed what I never had. That kind of grief is different. It doesn't break you, it builds you. You learn to stop chasing people who refuse to meet you halfway. You learn to stop justifying your worth to those who are determined not to see it. You learn that being related to someone doesn't give them a lifelong license to hurt you. One night, I got another call from a blocked number. Voicemail this time. It was Tristan. His voice sounded tired, softer than I remembered. He said, "I know you're never going to call me back. I probably don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. Not for the Tesla. Not just for the frame job. For all of it. For the years. For letting mom and dad treat you like you were less. I don't know if I'll ever fix what I broke, but I'm trying to be better. Even if I never hear from you again, I just wanted to say that." I didn't call him back. Not because I hate him, not because I want him to suffer, but because I didn't need anything from him anymore. Not validation, not revenge, not reconciliation. I had already closed the chapter. It's weird the things you notice when your mind isn't constantly at war. The way coffee tastes better when you're not bracing for a guilt trip. The way you actually laugh, not politely, not tensely, but from your gut. The way you wake up without that sinking feeling in your chest. That's how I knew I made the right call. Not because I got justice, not because I won, but because I was finally free from needing any of them to change. It wasn't about them anymore. It was about me, my peace, my boundaries, my future. People always say forgiveness is about setting yourself free, and maybe that's true. But sometimes the most powerful form of forgiveness is walking away, not with bitterness, not with rage, just with silence and peace. It's been 6 months since the last time I saw my parents face to face. 6 months since Tristan left me a voicemail I never returned. 6 months since I stood in front of my apartment door, told them no, and finally meant it. And in those 6 months, something incredible happened. My life became mine. Not the version my parents expected. Not the one where I stuck around to clean up Tristan's messes. Not the one where I played the responsible son while they poured praise onto someone else. Just mine. I wake up every day in a place I pay for with money I earned from a job I got on my own, through effort that nobody applauded, but I know was real. I go to work. I take night classes. I meal prep. I lift weights. I read. Nobody's asking me to fix their problem. Nobody's guilt-tripping me for saying no. Nobody's lurking in the background ready to rewrite history the moment it gets uncomfortable. You know what I've learned? Peace isn't flashy. It's not loud. It doesn't show up with fireworks or a parade. It's quiet. It's slow mornings and steady routines. It's standing in your kitchen and realizing you don't feel small anymore. There are still tough days, don't get me wrong. There are moments where I wonder what life would have been like if my family had been different, if my parents had just treated us equally, if Tristan had taken responsibility before it all spiraled. But then I remind myself, their choices are not my fault, their dysfunction is not my burden, and their definition of family is not my obligation. I redefine family. It's not who shares your last name. It's who shows up. It's who listens. It's who respects your boundaries and never asks you to shrink to make them comfortable. For me, that's Chris, the guy who let me crash on his couch without a single question. That's Emily, who re-entered my life not to fix it, but to walk beside me while I rebuilt it. That's my boss, who gave me opportunities because I earned them, not because I begged. That's the barista at my local coffee shop who remembers my order and asks how my classes are going. That's the quiet community I built from scratch, one honest conversation at a time. Family isn't about blood. It's about safety, support, sanity. And when you grow up being told that loyalty means suffering, it's easy to forget that you're allowed to choose better. But now, I don't forget anymore. I remember everything, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. I remember what it felt like to always come second. I remember the ache of knowing you're not your parents' favorite, not even close. I remember the anger of being told to pay for someone else's reckless decisions. I remember the betrayal of being framed, lied to, manipulated. But I also remember what it felt like to say no, to walk away, to start over. And that memory gives me strength every time I think about giving in, reaching out, or questioning my decision. I've started writing more, not for anyone, just for me. Sometimes I write about the past not to relive it, but to put it somewhere else. Sometimes I write about what I want my future to look like. Sometimes I write letters I'll never send. And you know what I wrote last week? I wrote, I don't need closure from the people who hurt me. I am the closure. I lived through it. I chose peace, and that's enough. Because it is. I don't need a perfect ending. I don't need an apology that'll never come. I don't need them to change. I just needed to stop waiting for them to. So, yeah, people still ask me what happened with the Tesla, the frame job, the golden brother who tried to turn my life inside out. They expect me to be angry, bitter, out for revenge. But I'm not. I'm calm. I'm whole. And more than anything, I'm finally free.